What's up, Mouse fam, and welcome back to another video. As we all know, no vacation at any Disney resort is complete without a trip through the entire Disney mountain range. In Disneyland and Anaheim, this consists of the Big Four. So join us today as we rank all four mountain attractions at Walt's original Magic Kingdom. Let's jump into it. Since this is such a tough list to rank, we added some parameters. We're going to rank each ride based on 5 categories. Each category is on a scale of 1 to 10. Best overall score wins. Normally, our first factor when ranking a Disneyland ride is nostalgia. But since this is the Big Four we're talking about, we're going to switch this out with iconic level. How iconic is the exterior, and how much does it scream quintessential Disney attraction? The second factor, thrill. How much thrill do you feel on this ride? Now, this doesn't have to be crazy roller coaster thrill. We just mean when you go on this ride, you get that little pit in your stomach that's notorious with any Disney mountain attraction. Number 3, the queue. How well does the queue immerse you in the intended experience? That is, does it properly prepare you for the ride you're about to go on and the story that is about to be told? Or on the flip side, is it just a set of boring switchbacks? The fourth factor, rideability. This includes a couple things. How easy is it to get on the ride? Is it super easy to score a fast pass? And is the standby line often manageable throughout the day? Or is the wait time constantly above an hour? This also includes how many people can ride the ride. We talked about how thrill is important, but you also have to dock a ride if not everybody can go on it. Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios, for example, has a very high height requirement, so a lot of younger kids can't go on it. Guardians of the Galaxy at Disney California Adventure, as another example, is often too frightening for older guests. The whole family being able to ride is a huge plus for rideability. Last but not least, the fifth factor, and probably the most important factor on this list, thematic fit. How well does this ride fit not only the land that it's in, but the entire story it's trying to tell as well? From the exterior show building, to the queue, to the ride system, even the animatronics in the story itself. Does this ride deliver what it's promising in a cohesive manner from start to finish? Alright, with that being said, let's get started with our list. Unfortunately, coming in at number 4 today, Matterhorn bobsleds. Thematic fit, 7. Queue, 5.5. Thrill, 7. Rideability, 8. Iconic level, 10. Total score, 7.5 out of 10. Now, I say unfortunately in regards to the ranking of this ride because the Matterhorn is an incredible piece of Imagineering and a top tier Disney attraction. Just because it's last on this list doesn't take anything away from the Matterhorn as a ride. There's only 4 attractions on this list, and they're 4 of the best Disney rides ever built. Somebody has to be last. The biggest factor going against Matterhorn is rideability. This ride really breaks your back. We talked about this in a recent video of the best coasters at Disneyland Resort. Link's right there if you want to watch it. And this ride just tosses you around. Despite basically everybody in the family being able to ride it, most people aren't going to want to go more than once. The queue also isn't great for the Matterhorn. It really is a bunch of chain link switchbacks most of the time. And if you've watched this channel at all, you know how much we hate chain link switchbacks and queues. They did do a refurb on the exterior of the queue a couple years ago, and it looks beautiful, but that's the exterior of the queue. The actual queue itself is just not practical and not enjoyable. Those are basically 2 of the only main cons for the Matterhorn though. It's generally not a tough fast pass to get, the theme is beautiful and consistent from start to finish, and the Matterhorn Mountain itself is a definition of iconic Disneyland attraction. You can see it from basically anywhere in the resort, and it's a magnificent sight to see as you walk down Main Street in the morning. Unfortunately, somebody has to be last, and the Matterhorn just has a couple cons going against it. That brings us to number 3 on the list, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Thematic fit, 8.5. Queue, 6. Thrill, 6. Rideability, 9.5. Iconic level, 10. Total score, 8 out of 10. It hurts us to put Big Thunder second to last on this list, as this is another top tier Disney attraction. Just like all 4 Disney mountains, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad isn't just a ride. It's an iconic and expansive landscape all by itself, from the peaks to the waterfalls to their own replicated flora and fauna. Just like Matterhorn, you can see it from basically anywhere in the entire resort. Big Thunder Mountain also has the highest rideability score on this list. It's technically considered a family coaster, meaning it's geared towards all ages, but it still has a lot of thrill to it as well. You can also customize your thrill in a way, more tame up front, more thrill in the back. If you time it correctly, you can even get completely different experiences based on when you go on this ride. You can ride it during the day, you can ride it at night, you can even ride it during Fantasmic or Mickey's Mixed Magic or the fireworks, and every single time is different and beautiful. It's also a pretty easy fast pass to get. It's usually not a very long standby. It has amazing animatronics, it has drops, it has speed. It's even got its own miniature town at the end. The one score really holding Big Thunder back is the queue. Just like Matterhorn, there's just too many chain link switchbacks. The touch of Frontier theming definitely bumps it up a little bit, especially towards the loading platform, but overall, it's just not a great queue. Now, if Disneyland ever adopted Walt Disney World's Big Thunder Mountain queue, then this would definitely bump it up on the list because that is an amazing queue. But until then, it's one of the more boring queues at Disneyland. The thrill also isn't quite to the level of the top 2 attractions on this list. That doesn't mean the ride doesn't have thrill. It's just geared more towards family, like we said, so there's not as much of it. Despite all of that, though, this really is one of the better Disney rides ever built. Number 2 on this list, or should we say tentatively number 2 for now, Splash Mountain. Thematic fit, 8. Queue, 9. Thrill, 9.5. Rideability, 6. Iconic level, 9.5. Total score, 8.5 out of 10. Now we say tentatively because as probably all of you already know who are watching a Disney-centric video, this ride's days are numbered. As of the publishing of this video, just 2 weeks ago, Disney announced that Splash Mountain would be getting a Princess and the Frog overlay. And to be honest, we could not be more excited for this. We are going to have a video coming out in 2 weeks about the 5 reasons why we think this will be a great overlay. So if you guys want to get notified, you can hit the bell down below to see when that video comes out. If you want our more in-depth thoughts on this topic right now, you can go over to our Twitter or Instagram at Ranking the Mouse. We give all of our thoughts on this overlay. You can join the discussion there. As for the current iteration of the ride, the thematic fit for Splash Mountain isn't perfect. Technically, it does fit perfectly into Critter Country, but that land was created around Splash Mountain. Just because it's a logical thematic fit does not mean it's an impressive thematic fit. New Orleans Square is a much more beautiful land, and Splash Mountain, per Disney's release, is going to be joining New Orleans Square, presumably in a bayou-type expansion to the land that will include the Princess and the Frog attraction. The overlay and the thematic fit that comes with it should be perfect. As of now, Splash Mountain does have one of the best thrills in any Disney park. It's got 5 or 6 good drops overall. It's got the 2 crazy drops at the end that will get you soaked no matter what. On the flip side of that though, those 2 drops do lower the rideability of this ride. For one, it does have a height requirement. And 2, because the drops are so popular and get you soaked, this ride can be an almost impossible fast pass to get in the middle of the day. It's often got a standby over 60, sometimes even over 90 minutes during the day. Now, obviously, if you don't mind getting soaked in the dark, then you can ride it at night, basically a walk-on. Rideability is very high for you. But in general, for most people who only want to get wet during the day, this ride's pretty hard to get on. Another pro to the current iteration of Splash Mountain is the exterior. Just like every other entry on this list, Splash Mountain is iconic. The second you walk around the corner at New Orleans Square and you see the beauty of Splash Mountain standing there, you will constantly be amazed. Overall, despite a few slight cons, Splash Mountain is one of the best Disney attractions ever built, and definitely a top 2 mountain attraction at Disneyland. Alright, that brings us to number 1, the best mountain attraction at the Disneyland Resort, Space Mountain. Thematic fit, 7.5. Queue, 9. Thrill, 9. Rideability, 8.5. Iconic level, 10. Total score, 9 out of 10. You probably already knew this ride is going to be number 1, And honestly, that just goes to show how iconic this attraction is. There's not a whole lot to be said bad about Space Mountain. The only category really holding the ride back is thematic fit. That's not because Space Mountain doesn't fit perfectly in Tomorrowland. It does. It's a perfect fit for Tomorrowland. The only problem is the thematic consistency from the queue all the way to the end of the ride. The story being told from start to finish isn't very clear, and honestly the ride can rest on its laurels of just darkness and thrill a little bit too much. A more cohesive story could definitely be told for Space Mountain. Honestly, most of that is nitpicking though. The rest of this attraction is as good as it gets. One of the most iconic show buildings of all time, generally not that tough of a fast pass, a perfect combination of thrills but rideability for the entire family from kids to adults, an almost perfect queue once you get past the outdoor section and you get into the jaw-dropping and excitement-building launch room that just gets you pumped for the ride. It's also got a very high re-rideability factor since you can ride it over and over again, since you never know what's coming with the dark turns. Obviously, it's not a super easy fast pass to get, but there's certainly harder fast passes in the park, especially Indiana Jones, Radiator Springs Racers, Splash Mountain. It does have a long standby line typically, but it has a single rider line. So if you don't mind riding by yourself, you can almost always get on the ride in 10 minutes or less. Overall, Space Mountain comes in as the best mountain attraction at the Disneyland Resort. Alright guys, that's our list. Let us know down in the comments what your list is. Rank all 4. If you want to include the 3 mountain attractions at the Magic Kingdom in Florida, then you can add those and do all 7. Also stay tuned. In 2 weeks, we'll be dropping our Princess and the Frog Top 5 video. You guys can join us on Twitter and Instagram at Ranking the Mouse or down in the comments below to continue the discussion. If you guys want to support our channel, the best way is to just hit that subscribe button down below. That way you guys can join the Mouse fam. With that being said, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.